Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are once again back at the Rustenburg Herald News Bulletin, and I'm not riding alone today. I've got the news editor who was absent last week because of some reasons, but is back here today. We're going to be speaking, as always, what is inside this newspaper. This week we've got a rather big newspaper full of news and stuff that is happening in and around Rustenburg. Now, without further ado, let me speak to the news editor about what's on the front page. It's very interesting. Can you tell our viewers what's going on the front page?
Goeiedag aan al ons lesers en ons luisteraars. Jabulani, ons kop hierdie week af met 'n gemeenskapsvriendelike voorblad storie. Ons kollega Christel Wessels spog hierdie week op die voorblad. Sy het pas haar tweede misdaadroman gepubliseer gekry en sy is baie trots en ons is trots op haar en daar's 'n hele storie oor die boek, die agtergrond daarvan en wat mense te wagte kan wees wanneer hulle hierdie boekie aanskaf. Sy kry baie goeie kritiek oor die boek en dis gewild op hierdie stadium. Dis nog baie vroeg, maar ons sal sien wat gebeur. Jabulani, ons het baie ander dinge, dis 'n nuwe jaar met nuwe uitdagings. En kom ons val weg. Wat het jy vir ons mense?
Well, let's come back to Rustenburg. Let me start with the visit of the MEC of Health. He came to Rustenburg, actually let me just say the Bojanala region last week. And he's discovered a lot of organizations, a lot of companies, a lot of businesses that are not complying to lockdown regulations. Of course, some of them were closed, but it's surprising to find out that some of these organizations belong to business, like not business, government. He complained a lot about what is happening at Home Affairs in Bethlehem Drive. There's no social distancing at all. People are not adhering to lockdown regulations. Then he went to the Department of Labor, which is close to the municipality. There also people are not adhering to social distancing and regulations. And lastly, these guys who are getting 350 rand grants, the social relief grant, they are also not adhering to social distancing and lockdown regulations. So the story is in page 3 of this week's edition of the Rustenburg Herald. And also, without forgetting our men in blue, last year about a couple of them, they retired from the force, the SAPS. So we've got a picture there and a story dedicated to the men and the women in blue who have been working for the SAPS for many years. So the story is also on page 3 of this week's edition of the Rustenburg Herald. And this one, everyone knows it, the opening of schools. We know that the schools were supposed to open earlier this year, but due to the regulations and this coronavirus still attacking us and causing a lot of havoc, school openings have been delayed. And this year it's going to be taking place on the 15th of February, unless something changes. I don't know what's happening that side.
Jabulani, op die harde nuusfront het ons maar weer die waardasierol situasie. Ons gereelde lesers en ons luisteraars weet nou al, ons probeer op hoogte bly met die situasie rondom die waardasierol. 'n Klein bietjie goeie nuus rondom die waardasierol is dat in teenstelling met wat ons gevrees het, hoef eienaars van grond en eiendom in Rustenburg nie voor die einde van Januarie hulle besware in te handig oor die nuwe waardasierol nie. Die waarheid is dat die nuwe waardasierol eers in die einde van Januarie gesertifiseer word en daarna aan die publiek voorgelê gaan word vir 'n tydperk van 3 maande, soos gebruiklik, en dan sal die ding maar sy gang gaan. Mense moet maar die waardasierol dophou sodra dit gepubliseer is. Dit gebeur vanaf einde Januarie hierdie jaar, maar dit is reeds beskikbaar op verskeie forums. Lees gerus ons artikel op bladsy 6 en jy sal weet wat al die jongste vereistes en al die nuus is. In dieselfde asem 'n stukkie munisipale nuus wat dalk minder goeie nuus is. Ons het in die afgelope klompie weke, maande, meer as 'n hele handjievol klagtes gekry van smouse. Mense wat probeer 'n lewe maak om hout te verkoop, om kos te verkoop, gras verkoop, al die tipe van dinge in sekere areas. Klagtes is dat die mense lastig geval word deur lede van die munisipaliteit se public safety Direktoraat Public Safety, openbare veiligheid. En daar is 'n vermoede of 'n vrees, bekommernis dat daar 'n knoeiery is en dat omkopery die wortel van die kwaad kan wees. Indien jy smous is of 'n voornemende smous of iemand wat informeel sake doen, is dit vir jou waarskynlik goeie nuus of slegte nuus of nuwe nuus. Ons het die stadsraad gevra, meer as een geleentheid, die munisipaliteit, veral die kommunikasieafdeling, wat is die situasie en die vereistes met betrekking tot smouse. Ons het ongelukkig die koue skouer gekry en nou weer hierdie week, so ons sal maar wag en hoor om te sien wat is die uitkoms van die saak. Voorlopig, ja, Dublani, dis ons harde nuus stories van hierdie week. Altwee op bladsy 6 van hierdie week. Wat het jy nog?
Well, on that one of the hawkers, like you said, we've made inquiries about 2-3 times. We haven't gotten any response from the municipality. But we'll keep on pushing because we see that this is very important for people who want to make a living here in Rustenburg. We'll keep on pushing for a response, and once we do get it, we're going to publish it in the newspaper. Now, moving right along, I talk a lot about COVID-19. I'm sure that people are going to start calling me that. We know that we are not all scientists. We are not all aware about the technical languages and how vaccines and all that works. So we've got an article, a very, very big article on page 4. The title of the article is How COVID Vaccine Works. So for those who would like to get the technicalities of how this vaccine is going to work, they can just go to page 4 of this week's edition of the Rustenburg to find out more. Then I'm moving right along to crime. Last week we heard about a story of a father who he was allegedly supposed to take a 6-month-old twins of his to the school in the morning, and then normally the arrangement was that in the afternoon the mother would go and collect them. What we know is that they are separated. Now this guy he eventually took the 2 twins and then he disappeared with them. But because of the hard work of the police here in Rustenburg in collaboration with the police in Gauteng, that's where the guy is staying, they were able to arrest the man and bring him back to Rustenburg. So he's already appeared in court. The full story is on page 5 of this week's edition of the Rustenburg Herald. And we know that last year close to about 300,000 young people were hired. They were giving opportunities in the education sector to be a teacher assistant, those who also were helping in gardening and keeping the school in good condition. Now it turns out that the DA is very, very frustrated, not only the DA, but most of the people who have been given these opportunities. They started working in December last year, and it turns out that they haven't even received their stipends. Now we have the story on page 5 of this week's edition of the Rustenburg Herald. And then in my conclusion, I'm going to talk about what's happening here in Rustenburg. You know, we've got a lot of issues of service delivery, like a pipe will burst and then it will be standing there for about 2-3 weeks. So last year we came up with an initiative whereby you can send us your photographs and then we put them on Facebook, so that in other ways you share your frustrations with the entire Rustenburg. Now the only thing that limited a lot of people from sending us photos is that we told them that we need a reference number from the municipality, and we know from experience that it's very, very difficult for one to get a reference number because you will be phoning the whole day without getting any response. So we have changed that small clause. We say now if you have service delivery frustrations, just send them to us. There's a WhatsApp number that you can use there, and then we'll gladly publish them and share it with the entire Rustenburg. I don't know. Conclusion, what do you have?
Ja, Bolani, jy praat baie van COVID. Dis die siekte van ons tyd, dis die epidemie van ons tyd. Nou, ons sê nou nie dis COVID nie, maar daar is mense in ons omgewing wat ons verloor het weens COVID. En hier in die begin van die nuwe jaar, dit vir ons tragies om te sê dat ons 'n hele klompie bekendes verloor het. Dit kan dalk ook ander oorsake wees, maar dis 'n moeilike tyd, ons almal weet. Ons groet onder meer in hierdie uitgawe vir oom Bossie Jansen van Rensburg van die Marikana, wat baie bekend is vir jare. Ons groet vir Frans Reyneke. Ja, nie Frans Reyneke nie, verskoon my. Ons groet vir Frans Conradie, 'n baie bekende persoonlikheid in sportkringe, besigheidsman, allemans vriend, baie bekende man, ou Rustenburger. Hy's oorlede. En dan groet ons ook vir Stoffel Ayers. Daar's min mense wat nie weet wie Stoffel Ayers is nie, veral snoekliefhebbers. Stoffel was die snoekguru by die Rustenburgse skou en later ook daarna in 'n privaat hoedanigheid. Die eggenoot van Maggie Ayers, vir jare lank die sekretaresse van die burgemeester van Rustenburg. Nou ja, dit is vir ons hartseer om vir hierdie mense en hulle families te sê, ons is jammer om te hoor van hulle verlies en ons wens hulle sterkte toe. En Jabulani laastens, hierdie tyd van die jaar na so 'n lang vakansie is maar 'n kommertyd. Mense wat die besietjies maar met toeknyp en toehou, onthou van ons blokkiesraaisel en ons Sudoku kompetisie, want daar is elke week 250 randjies op die spel vir albei van hierdie kompetisies. En dan is daar ook ons blanco spasie kunstkompetisie waar daar een keer 'n kwartaal R1000 op die spel is, maar beter nuus is hulle daar vir die wenner, die algehele wenner van die jaar. Trouwens, 2 van hulle is daar 2 inkoop bewyse van R10,000 elk by Pick n Pay, se Greystone en Beyers nou die 2 takke wat ons ondersteun. En ons hoofborge is van hierdie blanco spasie kunstkompetisie. Jabulani, dit in 'n neutedop is my storie. Ek groet ook tot volgende week. Ons wens ons mense 'n aangename week en 'n voorspoedige week toe.
I think that's it for this week's edition of the Rustenburg Herald News Bulletin. We're going to be back again next week, same time, same place. So thank you very much for viewing this show. We wish you the best week ahead.
Mooi bly.